Hey, Ryan Reynolds here. Wishing you a very happy half-off holiday because right now Mint Mobile is offering you the gift of 50% off unlimited. To be clear, that's half price, not half the service. Like Mint is still premium unlimited wireless for a great price. So that means a half day, yeah?
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
From Adams Morgan to Anacostia Park, we all want safer neighborhoods. But what does real safety mean? Real safety means preventing crime before it happens. By having police work with communities to disrupt cycles of violence. By supporting families with stable housing. And providing more mental health and drug treatment. We know that adding more police and locking up more people doesn't make us safer. Real safety means investing in the things that help prevent crime. Learn more at RealSafetyDC.
Hi there, and welcome again to the Explaining History podcast. Kind of delving a little bit into current affairs today here in the UK and the workings of the British left, of which I consider myself to be a constituent part, very minor part, but certainly on the left to a greater extent. So, for those who are not following, and you'd be forgiven for not following if you're wherever you are in the world, not following the kind of the changes and permutations in the British left. The background to what I'm going to tell you sort of goes like this. Okay, from Thatcherism onwards, the parliamentary British left, the Labour Party, concluded that ultimately there was no other way than a slightly softer embrace of neoliberalism, and that Thatcher had won all the arguments. And the right of the Labour Party, which has always been probably the more powerful faction, after the defeat of Tony Benn, who ran to be the deputy leader of the Labour Party, and after the 1983 general election, where Michael Foot was defeated, the right of the Labour Party through Neil Kinnock and then John Smith, who died before his time, and then Tony Blair, was ascendant, and Gordon Brown, all the way up through to 2010, where we have one of the most ruinous governments that Britain has ever seen, a government who, through austerity, essentially de-developed the state, and who kind of plunged untold millions in Britain into kind of Dickensian levels of poverty, the likes of which, if you listen to my podcast recording. I'll see if I can put a link below. With Dr. Rachel Morris, what we did this year, I think, on austerity. Then you'll have a picture of what that was like. Now, this all kind of essentially produces a revolt in the Labour Party in 2015, and you get Jeremy Corbyn. And the revolt was about austerity, and it was about the kind of the complicity of the Labour right in it, the willingness of the Labour right to go, well, you just have to do these things, and it'll be miserable and horrible. We'd do it slightly better. We'd be sort of slightly kind of more efficient and cleverer and more managerial in our inflicting of austerity. And you have this explosion where the Labour right, for a while, lose control of the party up until 2019. When Jeremy Corbyn loses the 2019 general election, they lost the 2017 one, but come very, very close to winning, and this has terrified the Labour right and their particularly their friends at the Israeli embassy. And the Labour right sabotaged Jeremy Corbyn and installed Keir Starmer. And we get essentially continuity Toryism. There is no material difference whatsoever between Rishi Sunak and Keir Starmer. The only thing that Keir Starmer has found is that he needs to. He essentially told the left of the party to clear off, and we don't need you, be gone. And he was essentially looking to build a more managerialist Thatcherite party. And he started to realise that the left. I mean, Peter Mandelson famously said years ago, the left will always vote for this because they've got nowhere else to go. And fortunately, they do have somewhere else to go. They have two other places to go. They have Zack Polanski's new Green Party. Zack Polanski, the new leader of the Green Party, very erudite, very talented guy who has managed to use social media effectively to communicate a key message about austerity, inequality, billionaires, and particularly taxing the wealthy to eliminate the inequality gaps in Great Britain. And then there is what is now known as Your Party, which was founded by Jeremy Corbyn, Zarah Sultana, and a block of 4 other independent MPs who were elected in 2024. Muslim independent MPs who were perhaps not necessarily on the left. They were chiefly interested in, and their electoral appeal was in large part a kind of anger against Labour's complicity in the genocide in Gaza, and they came to power. They came to Parliament as independents, not part of any party political machine, not necessarily all on the same page when it comes to the particularly the cultural politics that you find on the left, which divide the left around issues around kind of trans rights and gender particularly. The left you could see divided in two ways. There is a kind of a kind of a Marxist materialist argument on the left that these cultural debates are sort of things that are cooked up on the political right, and it's sort of, there's an element of intolerance there. I feel actually that trans rights aren't sort of very important. Homelessness is, and poverty is, and it's like, well, you can't. It's often difficult to separate out the two because mental health crises, poverty, injustice, violence, and homelessness, when you look at the stats, trans people are massively overrepresented in those stats. And when people make huge kind of decisions about their sense of self and their sense of identity and who they are and what their gender identity, that's not a trivial thing. That's not a small thing. And if you look at the stats again about what people thought about trans rights 5, 10, 15 years ago, the answer is not many people thought very much about it at all. You had a long-running trans character in a British sitcom, soap opera in Coronation Street. You had a trans woman win Big Brother in the early 2000s, and nobody cared. And this is, in a way, it is cooked up by relentless right-wing kind of influencers and columnists and think tanks creating culture wars to divide people, to make kind of different groups kind of angry at one another. But that's not to say that the rights of people of minorities aren't important because they are. So that's kind of one sort of fissure within the Your Party left. And there were trans rights activists that said some of the 2024 MPs that formed Your Party were not sufficiently either transphobic, whether that's fair or true or not, I don't really know, or not sufficiently pro-trans rights, and also that that one or two of them were landlords, which is and landlordism again, because you have a cohort of people growing up who are generation rent and coming into politics who are generation rent, who will stand almost no chance under the current system of ever owning a home and having that kind of degree of life security. So landlords are a colossal bête noire when it comes to that. So if you look at the kind of this all sort of explains the kind of rather tragic events that are unfolding at the moment, which I'll kind of go into. But landlords, people whose kind of ideological worldview is not born necessarily of a kind of a close reading of Marx or Antonio Gramsci, but who no doubt are kind of committed to the problems of kind of injustice and poverty and war and cruelty and imperialism and all the other things that people on the left are united behind, have led to this kind of Fissiparous kind of crisis. Zarah Sultana, Jeremy Corbyn was perhaps more cautious, waiting waiting in more in the long term to found what has now been called Your Party. Zarah Sultana kind of bounced him into it earlier this year with the with the announcement that a new party was being founded, and all the indications are, I mean, a lot of what is written by gleeful right-wing columnists that like to make the point that the left will argue amongst itself endlessly before doing anything remotely practical. And unfortunately, they are being given some quality material to work with at the moment. The accusation from Zarah Sultana's supporters is that Jeremy Corbyn is really just the continuity of the Labour Party, which, I mean, is a ludicrous assertion, really, given the last sort of 10 years of British political history. And that he's surrounded by Labour insiders and bureaucrats, which, he's brought with him his former Chief of Staff, Carrie Murphy, and various other, people who were very, very close to him during the time that he was leader of the Labour Party. So there is something in that, and there is the argument that things are being decided about the makeup and the structure and the founding of the party, which are not democratic, are not decided at a kind of like a mass conference level. Now, here's where you fall into all sorts of difficulties. I mean, to an extent, to found a mass political party, you need bureaucrats. You do. It can't be decided by a glorious outpouring of kind of democratic action. If you look at the kind of the hyperdemocracy of the Petrograd Soviet after the February Revolution, By the autumn of 1917, it's descended into complete chaos, and gradually the Bolsheviks, the very antithesis of mass democracy, the Bolsheviks start to kind of gobble up various committees on the Petrograd Soviet, and then they start to um, bring their guys into Soviets at different levels, knowing that by turning up and by being persistent, they would dominate the proceedings, and so the all power to the Soviets becomes all power to the Bolsheviks, and the what I think has happened is that the people around Jeremy Corbyn, and probably Jeremy Corbyn himself, are trying to prevent, or have tried to prevent, your party from being from being undermined by what the Labour Party in the 80s would have called entryism. Entryism was a perhaps overstated, but it was the idea that militant tendency. Now, the Socialist Party, a Trotskyite splinter group, was entering the Labour Party. Their members were covertly taking Labour Party membership, not declaring where they were from, and then voting at committee meetings for far more left policies than the Labour Party, the membership, would necessarily have wanted.
I'm done with subscriptions. Streaming, fitness, razors, vitamins. I've got subscriptions for everything in my life. They lock you in, and half the time, I can't figure out how to unsubscribe. That's why I'm so excited about the new Blue Apron. Now you can get delicious meals delivered with no subscription needed, including new pre-made options. Keep the flavor, ditch the subscription. Get 20% off your first 2 orders with code APRON20. Terms and conditions apply. Visit blueapron.com/terms for more.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here for Mint Mobile. One of the perks about having 4 kids that you know about is actually getting a direct line to the big man up north. Mm-hmm. And this year, he wants you to know the best gift that you can give someone is the gift of Mint Mobile's unlimited wireless for $15 a month. Now, you don't even need to wrap it.
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
From Adams Morgan to Anacostia Park, we all want safer neighborhoods. But what does real safety mean? Real safety means preventing crime before it happens. By having police work with communities to disrupt cycles of violence. By supporting families with stable housing. And providing more mental health and drug treatment. We know that adding more police and locking up more people doesn't make us safer. Real safety means investing in the things that help prevent crime. Learn more at RealSafetyDC.
Now, your party is definitely, if it forms and functions, is going to be a left mass party in British politics for the first time. But there are some key events have happened this weekend. Firstly, the Labour Party, your party had its first ever party conference, foundational conference on this weekend, and on Saturday, Zarah Sultana walked out in protest because some of the delegates at the conference were told that they had been expelled from the party, and they've been expelled from the party for 2 reasons. Firstly, the majority of those expelled were already members of the Socialist Worker Party. Now, the Socialist Worker Party in Britain, again, a Trotskyite party, very, very kind of small fringe political party. You tend to find them at university campuses mainly, selling copies of the Socialist Worker newspaper. And their argument is that the entirety of the political system itself is illegitimate. This is a kind of like a bourgeois construct, and they don't contest elections. Why they are then therefore entering an electoral, something that wants to be an electoral machine, is a question for the ages, really. However, the SWP is again a very small fringe left party. The decision by Zarah Sultana to boycott the first day kind of created its own frictions. Her accusation was undemocratic things are happening. Arguably, there is a balance to be struck between democracy and between protecting the kind of structural integrity of the thing that you're trying to create. Now, the second thing that happened was that once Zarah had chosen to come back into the conference on the second day, her faction was largely successful, and it won two key things. Firstly, it won the debate on joint leadership, not solo leadership. So, had Jeremy Corbyn's proposal of solo leadership had been successful, there would have been something like a leadership election in January. Will there be a leadership election now? Well, perhaps there will be leadership leaders running for both joint membership positions. Who knows? But there would have been definitely a solo membership, a solo leadership head to head in January, probably between Zarah and Jeremy. The result of that would probably have alienated one or other group of their supporters. Jeremy Corbyn is somebody who has kind of on the left, and not just on the left, perhaps towards in the centre left as well, kind of almost sort of like star quality. He's a known political entity and is an awful lot, much as with kind of Farage and Reform, an awful lot of the way that the appeal of your party is based on him, the fact that he's involved. And people have been agitating for a long time for Jeremy Corbyn to set up a new left party. So maybe this is a good thing. Maybe these two factions have to collaborate. And Zarah Sultana is not without her appeal. And I must say here, there's a great deal I like about her. A great deal. I'm not entirely sure. I don't think either side here is blameless, and I think there is something about all of this which, without giving right-wing columnists any more material, is to a degree true about the British left. You even your own side you have to look at objectively and note its deficiencies. The second thing that happened was that the kind of the de facto ban on other parties being involved or dual membership was voted out. So delegates at the conference said basically you can be in any other political party and you can be in this political party. And that, I fear, may have killed the entire project stone dead. It's entirely, if Nigel Farage wanted to join your party for a laugh, he could do. What you will probably get now is there are a great many people, myself included, who have sympathies towards both the Green Party, which full admission here, I'm a member of now, and your party. I doubt myself that I would join both, but the Socialist Worker Party will no doubt join your party in large numbers. That in itself will have, I think, a largely negative and toxic effect on your party. It will cause all manner of kind of chaos and doctrinal infighting. And then, other people who have joined other parties will no doubt join your party as well to kind of steer and influence it. So there is no firewall around it now, in essence. And it can be undermined within. Now, the thing about all of this is that, as if a left party in Britain didn't have enough challenges, enough problems, the party, if it has even the smallest bit of traction, will face the entirety of the political establishment, the entirety of Britain's media establishment, and the entirety of Britain's security state. The various kind of organs of things like MI5 are not well disposed to a radical left party coming to power.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here for Mint Mobile. One of the perks about having 4 kids that you know about is actually getting a direct line to the big man up north.
Mm-hmm.
And this year, he wants you to know the best gift that you can give someone is the gift of Mint Mobile's unlimited wireless for $15 a month. Now, you don't even need to wrap it.
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
From Adams Morgan to Anacostia Park, we all want safer neighborhoods. But what does real safety mean? Real safety means preventing crime before it happens. By having police work with communities to disrupt cycles of violence. By supporting families with stable housing. And providing more mental health and drug treatment. We know that adding more police and locking up more people doesn't make us safer. Real safety means investing in the things that help prevent crime. Learn more at Real Safety DC.
The way that your party sees Britain's role in the world, if it was in power, would radically change. The Britain's role in the world would radically change. Britain's membership of NATO, Britain's support for Israel, Britain's arms industry, all the kinds of things that various people in Whitehall, who you don't know very much about, and who like to keep it that way, will be very, very kind of have lots of antipathy towards. And you would have members of your party, mainly, I suspect, from the SWP, providing them with the ammunition they need. So it's part of a kind of a longer story of glorious disasters on the British left. And there's the odd moment where, British social democracy and British left politics manages to sort of succeed and take a step forward. And this ain't going to be one of them. I genuinely don't believe, and it pains me to say that. It really does. And I think that it will be just viewed as a kind of like a missed opportunity. Hopefully, the Green Party will continue its kind of surge in popularity, and it will retain its newfound commitment to left ideas, and to the fight against inequality, which is the thing that is kind of killing Britain slowly. Hopefully, but we will see. And hopefully, if your party does succeed, that there can be some sort of electoral understanding between the Greens and Corbyn Sultana. Though I don't hold out a lot of hope for that at the moment. So a bit of a dismal one to start the week with, but there we go, and soldier on. So I'll catch you on the next Explaining History podcast. Got hopefully this week coming up an amazing interview about David Bowie, so check that out on Wednesday. And the website is making some huge strides, so check that out too. All the best. Bye-bye.
For 25 years, Brightview Senior Living Associates have been committed to creating a vibrant culture and delivering exceptional services, making Brightview a great place to work and live. If you're looking for a rewarding opportunity to serve your local community and grow, we want you to join our team. Brightview Senior Living is growing and actively seeking vibrant associates to join our community teams, including directors, healthcare, activities, hospitality, and dining. Apply today at careers.brightviewseniorliving.com. Equal employment opportunities. Text BV Jobs to 97211 to apply.
From Adams Morgan to Anacostia Park, we all want safer neighborhoods. But what does real safety mean? Real safety means preventing crime before it happens. By having police work with communities to disrupt cycles of violence, by supporting families with stable housing, and providing more mental health and drug treatment. We know that adding more police and locking up more people doesn't make us safer. Real safety means investing in the things that help prevent crime. Learn more at RealSafetyDC.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Explaining History. This podcast is an independent production, and it's listener support that keeps these conversations going week after week. If you find value in the show and want to help cover the costs of research and production, please consider making a contribution. You can join our community on Patreon or make a one-off donation. Just follow the links in the show notes for this episode. Every bit of support is truly appreciated. Thanks again for listening.